morning, my fellow teammates and all the audiences that I appreciate who will watch these presentations later. On this blissful occasion, we from the small group discussion, B3 group would like to present our student project entitled Benefit Small Group Learning in the Health Profession. But before moving forward to our next plan, let me introduce all members of this group with their three last digit of their student number. Next, there's Yudhaswara with number 96. There's Dianingsih number 70, there's Chandrika number 71, there's Tegar Raharja number 73, there's Nathanael Farrel number 77, there's Sara Putri number 78, there's Joanna Alyssa number 79, there's Kesawa Partha number 80, there's Gabriella Ferenina number 81, there's Laura Natasha number 83, there's Wilson Ekaputra number 84, and me Wulan number 86. Next. We will present our student project with three main chapters, which are Introduction, Literature Review, and Conclusion. Next. The presentation will be started with the first chapter, the Introduction, which consists of background, problem formulation, objectives, and benefits. Next. And the first is background. The health professions takes place in the various contexts, including every activity in medical school, hospital, and clinical settings. The health professions start from the curriculum activities at the university, which always target the development of students' knowledge about the basic studies of health. During the last half century, health professions are considered successful if they increasingly understand and master those studies by passing the various tasks they deal with. Still, in fact, these studies will be integrated into clinical settings where it also has an important role in the skills and professional development. Therefore, the application of these basic health studies is necessary. Clinical application of this basic science can be done in various ways to achieve communication skill, clinical skill, and procedural skills in the realm of health. Of the various methods that can be done, the small group learning method is the most effective use since students' understanding of knowledge increase when they can actively construct their understanding concerning their peers. This is why small group learning is needed in the health profession. It can provide opportunity for students to work collaboratively and promote team building skills that are essential for working in the healthcare settings. For the next speaker, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Now I will explain about the proper formulation of our student project. First, what is the definition of small group learning? How does small group learning work? What are the advantages and disadvantages of small group learning? What can we gain from the small group learning method in the health profession? What is the distinctive aspect of our small group learning compared to the other learning methods in the health profession? And last, how is the current implementation of small group learning in the health profession? Next. Our objectives are to give an understanding of the insight of small group learning, to portray the cycle of small group learning, to present the advantages and disadvantages of small group learning, to expose the benefits of small group learning in the health profession, to explain the difference between small group learning compared to other learning methods in the health profession, and to give information about the current implementation of small group learning in the health profession. Next. And the benefits is to present the proper information about small group learning, especially in the health profession, how small group learning is being done generally, and also in the health profession, the advantages and disadvantages, the comparison with other methods, and current implementation of small group learning. For next speaker, the time is yours.
Thank you. For the next one, we would talk about the literature review that consists of definition, learning process, advantages, disadvantages, benefit comparison, and current implementation. Next. The first one, we will talk about the definition of small group learning. Basically, learning methods are important in aspect of education. Teaching and learning are not one-way processes, as in a traditional or conventional lecture. In contrast, small group can provide an active learning pedagogies instead of the passive one. Small group learning is a learning technique in which students tackle difficulties connected to the major topic and challenges. The small group discussion model can be summarized from many sources as a learning that stress student learning activeness through small group learning discussion. The purpose of implementing it is to increase the responsibility and increase the learning the skills to solve problems related to the main problem. Another opinion of the purpose of this method is to increase the responsibility of students for what they learn in a fun and not scary way. The goal of using this method is to improve students' accountability for what they learn in an enjoyable and non-threatening way. On the other hand, the small group discussion model can make students to be able to handle the problems relating to the main topic as well as difficulties encountered in real life. For the next speaker, the floor is yours.
Now I'm going to explain the learning process or method of small group learning. So before that, I'm going to explain how small group learning works. Usually, lecturers will give the material and a case problem with a set of questions for the small group to discuss. The group will have to find the solution to that problem by answering the questions. In order for a successful small group, it needs both student participation and proper facilitation to excel. For the facilitation to be maximized, facilitators need to understand the 4 student profiles of learning styles. Students who will value more on how they will understand the material. The second is assessment-oriented students, which are students who are looking forward to finish the assignment. The third one is group-oriented students, which are students who value relationships with other people more. And the last one would be practice-oriented students, which are students who will look forward to whether or not this will help them in becoming a more successful health professional. Next slide, please. Okay, so like I said, students' participation is also needed for an effective session. There are 4 steps that needs to be followed. The first one is preparing, meaning students are encouraged to answer the questions by themselves first and do their own research so that they have a basic idea on how to find the solution to the problem. Second one is leading, done by the leaders of the group. The leaders have to be able to help the facilitator to create a conducive environment where the discussion takes place. The third one is conditioning. Basically, the group have to set some ground rules for the discussion, such as how to give opinions and many more. And the last one would be evaluating, done by the facilitators. Evaluation points that are filled can be time management, communication skills, critical thinking skills, etc. That is all from me. The next speaker, the time is yours.
There are several advantages of a small group learning approach, which are: first, small group learnings help with understanding topics. Discussions through a small group does not only let learners or students receive the information simply, but discussions in a small group promote students to dig into specific topics, deeply process the topics, and develop a perfect and thorough understanding about the topics. Second, small group learnings promote teamwork. Using group discussions as a teaching tool can help students get to know one another better. Small groups allow students to actively participate and collaborate in the teaching learning process. Third, small group learnings make students confident. Confidence is enhanced because many quieter and less participative students felt at ease speaking in small groups rather than in larger groups. In this small group learning, it will provide more space for members to express their opinions. Lastly, small group learnings enhance communication skills. Small group learnings help students improve their communication skills. It helps them to take a stand, express themselves, and actually get actively involved in the class. For the next speaker, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity given to me. So I would like to present about the disadvantages of small group learning. Number 1 is difficulty of making decisions quickly. Discussion take additional time which contradict the efficiency principle, and for some learners think it quite challenging to sharing knowledge on a group. Number 2 is students tend to rely on their friends. Students may develop a dependency on their friends group and avoid participating in discussion activities. Number 3 is make the dominant and the inferior. People may settle into established group position, making some members submissive while others may dominate when voicing their opinion. And number 4 is group take longer to organize than peers. The group might be hard to control for every member and will consume more time to organize rather than peers. The disadvantages might be some reason to avoid small group learning, but it still depends on the group itself. Okay, that's all for me. For the next speaker, the time is yours.
Okay, so now I'm going to explain about what are the benefits of small group learning in health profession. First, it reduces the chance of misdiagnosis. Small group learning allows healthcare professions to discuss about a certain case, so misdiagnosis doesn't occur. Second, it increases the chance of unique solutions. Chance of unique and innovative solutions to appear is increased when discussion is held. Third, you can gain new insights and experiences. Diverse health professions means diverse insights. They will be able to exchange their knowledge to each other. And lastly, you can expand relations and sharpen communication skill. The group members will be able to expand their relations as the members will differ. They can also hone their communication skill by talking to different group members. Okay, for the next speaker, time is yours.
Thank you for the time that has been given to me. Now I'm going to explain about comparison between small group learning method and other methods in health profession. Small group learning method is focused on student rather than the facilitator. Therefore, students can more actively participate in the discussion and increase teamwork among themselves. Large group learning has very little space for all members to contribute to the discussion. Hence, members tend to be passive and are unlikely to succeed in achieving the goals set before them. For the next speaker, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for your time. And now I will continue where my partner left off. And we have one more learning methods to discuss, which is individual learning. So individual learning methods have some deficiencies, such as they cannot discuss the problem with their peers. Hence, the knowledge that they retain does not have any progress. The knowledge that they have obtained can only be absorbed by itself without communicating it to others. Next. Okay, so this is the comparison table between all three learning methods, which is individual learning, small group, and large group learning. So out of these three, the small group learning method is the only one where everyone in the group is actively participating in the discussion. This is because you cannot initiate in the discussion with oneself, and within a large group of like more than 10 people, there are bound to be people who won't participate at all. Hence, why it's still considered as passive. And the reason why large group learning is considered non-effective discussion is because that with a lot of people giving their own opinions, not all the ideas will be organized, and they're most likely be jumbled up, and there might even be miscommunication between every single member in the large group learning. To the next speaker, the time is yours.
Thank you. Now we're going to talk about current implementation of small group learning in health profession. And the first one is in university environment. Health profession education using small group learning as one of its learning methods. We all know that in the future, no matter what our profession is in the health sector, whether it is doctor, pharmacists, nurses, and other medical personnel, we will not work alone, right? We collaborate to provide the best service. That's why teamwork has been trained since we were in medical education or still students. Technically, there will be a facilitator who directs the discussion, and then the learner will discuss a problem topic. After getting the results, they will make a resume for the results of the discussion. Learner also get the opportunity to discuss with other groups in plenary session so that they can learn about other topic as well. For the next speaker, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the time that given to me. I'm gonna talk about current implementation of small group learning of health profession in hospital and clinics. The first one is young doctors who carry out clinical education in hospital can apply the small group learning method by discussing patient with the doctor who is the supervisor. And then the second one is professional healthcare. They sometimes discuss and learn about handling of special cases, which requires the handling of special division. And then one of the research found that there was an increase in ability of health professionals to use ABP research evidence, which in turn has the potential to improve the quality of clinical practice. For the next speakers, time is yours. Thank you.
Okay, so the last part is conclusion, which consists of conclusion and advice. So we can conclude that small group learning is a learning method that consists of 2 to 10 people, where the lecturers will give a case to discuss with a set of questions to be answered. The facilitator is responsible for guiding the flow of the group while discussing. Meanwhile, the student learns to solve the problem by utilizing their knowledge and working collaboratively with their group. Small group learning has many advantages, but it also has disadvantages. In health profession, small group learning makes students can fill each other's gaps in knowledge, encourage students to share their thoughts, give students varieties of perspective, etc. Small group learning makes students remember the topic longer than the regular lecture. This method also allows students to discuss actively. In university, the implementation of this method is students will do a discussion to solve a problem, and after that, they will do an assignment. Meanwhile, in a hospital or clinic, young doctors will discuss patients' problem with their supervisor. Sometimes professional healthcare discuss a special case in some patient. The next part is advice. This writer suggests that the student and facilitator should make a conducive situation while learning. So the students should search the material before discussion. They should use this chance to explore this topic. Students should do the 4 basic steps to ensuring an effective small group learning. And the facilitator should monitor the student and utilize the 4 study profiles of student. That's the last material. I will give it back to the moderator.
Thank you. These are all the resources we used to compose the student project. Next slide. Next slide. That's all from our presentation about our student project. We would like to apologize if there are any mistakes we made during the presentation. And thank you for your attention.